With the primer now obviously cured about 60 minutes after application, you could let it dry for longer, it doesn't matter, but after about 60 minutes with most paints you're safe to move on to applying the next coat or the next color. In this case I'm going to clean it up a bit by removing some of the dust and blowing some air on top of it, making sure that the surface is as clean as possible before applying the first couple of coats of paint. Now for color, I decided to go with a Nissan color. It's Midnight Purple from the R35 GTR. After applying this first coat of color with about 60% trigger pull, I let it dry for about 5 minutes to move on to the second coat, giving it the same amount of coverage, also not giving it the full 100% throttle. Just about 60% is more than enough for the paint to flow out and cover and not go on too thick, as I'm going to apply a third coat, making sure that everything is covered. And again, after covering this second coat, I let it dry for 5 minutes in between and move on to the third and final coat, making sure that the entire body is fully covered and the color is nice and even all around. With the body now fully covered in midnight purple, you could now do one of two things. Just let it dry, apply some decals and move on to clear coat, or give it a coat of clear, let that clear coat fully cure, apply some decals and apply another coat of clear. Or you could do a third option, just give it some clear coat and apply the decals later on with the body fully finished, and maybe just seal them with a tiny drop of clear with a brush or a toothpick, whatever your fancy is. In my case, I just forgot that there were two tiny emblems that needed to be applied on each side, so I moved on to clear coating it, gave it 2 coats of clear, and I'm gonna apply those decals later on in the finishing stage. Just like applying color coats, I'm not going to give it full throttle on this first coat. I'm just going to make it a tack coat, about 60% throttle, and on the second coat I'm either going to give it about 60 to 80% and still not the full 100, as that might create some runs or even fill up all the panel lines, which we took care of in the first video. and that's obviously not what we want. So just make sure that the paint goes on nice and smooth, and when you're ready to put the airbrush away, make sure you are satisfied with the finish you have left on the body. Now you could also decide to go with 2 light coats and 1 heavy coat, but 1 light coat and another light to heavy coat should do the job, making it nice and shiny. It also sometimes happens that you run out of paint while painting. Just don't worry about it, fill up the airbrush and move right along. Now, I wasn't really satisfied with the way this coat came out, so I added some more on a couple of spots, checking it over and adding some more to another couple of spots which I thought needed it. Now, this is all up to your preference and your standard. If you're happy with it the way it turns out the first coat, you could leave it. If you want to go a bit further, just add some more and add some more. Just make sure you don't overdo it. And this is just all taught by doing it yourself as you gain experience and you know what you can and can't get away with. So just go by feel, give it a shot. You will ruin it sometimes, and others you will smash it, and you will learn from your mistakes, move on and get better at it as you go. Clear is now on and I'm fully satisfied. I'm going to put the body away for about 5 days, probably just wait until next week and then move on in the meantime with the interior, some chassis components and all that other fun stuff while the body is drying so that I don't ruin that.